Hello, crafty friends. My name is Jessica, and welcome back to my channel. Today we have color blend number 12 using the Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated inks. For this color blend, we're going to be using Cheeky, Blush, and Pucker. These are a very pinky orange, and we're going to be pairing them with some really fun colors. Now, I can't talk about ink blending without talking about my favorite paper, and this is Simon Says Stamp 130-pound mega ultra weight cardstock. Any smooth surface cardstock is going to work with ink blending, such as this one, Not Your Mama's cardstock, the hammer mill that everybody loves for foiling, anything with just a smooth surface. So we're going to go ahead and get started here with Cheeky. This is a really fun color. It is towing that line between orange and pink. I think Cheeky and Blush tend to lead more pink, and then Pucker comes in with that sucker punch of orange tones to kind of round out this trio. So because these tend to lean towards more of the pink tones, I am using my pink family brush from Simon Says Stamp. I use one color family brush for all of the colors in that family, and I use them only for my dye inks. So these brushes are for my dye inks. I have a separate set of brushes that I use for my oxides. I used to use the same brushes for both, but I did find that they were getting gummy. So I did purchase a second set just for my pigment inks, which is my Distress Oxides. But I do use my brushes for any dye inks, such as these ones, the Rainbow Splash line, Distress line, and I also use the Simon Says Stamp original inks, while not very often. And while they're not a water reactive ink, I still use them and haven't found any issues. See what I mean by adding Pucker? It brings in that punch of orange to bring these, what I consider more pinky colors, to the more of the orange family. But when I separate them, they're going to look more pink. So here we have Cheeky, Blush, and Pucker. We're going to go ahead and do a quick clean. There's a little tease for the next trio. We're going to be doing Cheeky, Cadette, and Taffy. While Cheeky tends to lean towards the pink, normally you wouldn't want to do a blue and an orange. That would create mud. But because this has more of a pink tone to it, we're going to get a really fun blend between these two. I was really hesitant. I thought maybe they were going to go a little sideways, but I really liked the colors that turned out. I'm going a little heavy-handed with Cheeky because it's such a light color, but usually my rule is to go in really light. So here you can see with Cadette, because it's such a vibrant blue, I'm going in really light-handed to ensure that I'm not going to get too over blended and get a color that I don't want. You can mix some colors that are complementary or opposites on the color wheel that normally would make mud. You can mix them sometimes if you have a light hand. So that's why I'm going in and building this Cadette up really, really slowly and gently bringing it into the Cheeky. You want to be sure that you don't go in too hot and heavy, because you could, one, you can't undo it, and two, it might not make a color that you don't want. But Taffy and Cadette make the most loveliest purple. I love getting these additional colors when we're blending. You start out with 3 colors, but sometimes you get 4 and sometimes you get 5. And the color between Cadette and Taffy is just a really fun, bold purple, and I really, really enjoy it. The only thing about getting only one extra color is your panel tends to feel a little imbalanced, at least for me, because you're getting that Cheeky and Cadette are blending together very beautifully, but they're not necessarily making that additional color where you're making that other color in between Cadette and Taffy. And so for me, visually, it feels a little off because you've got these 2 colors at the top and then these 3 colors towards the bottom. But that's Cheeky, Cadette, and Taffy. Pay attention to this panel as the video goes on. It is going to dry back completely different than how it looks now. But up next, we're going to do Blush, Orchid, and Iris, a very fun purpley, orangey pink blend. So we've talked about paper. We've talked about what tools I like to use. Another tip that I can't stress enough is tapping off your ink before you come to paper. This helps eliminate any of the brush strokes that you might get by having too much ink on your brush. Or if you're using foam pads, you still want to tap off because you're going to eliminate that circle that you might get if you go in to your paper with too much ink on it. So I highly recommend that. This is what I typically use, these microfiber cloths. My husband gets them for free at the local tool store when he shows up. So I have an excess of them. I throw them in my wash when they're overly inked up and they clean up. I don't wash them with anything else. What you're seeing now is I decided to keep this in. My orchid and iris were really dry. So this is how I ink my ink pads up. I go ahead and do a thick band of it there on one end, and then I use a bone folder that I do not use to score my paper or fold my paper. It's strictly used for re-inking. And I go ahead and I pull that ink up the pad, and then I go back and forth until it is all completely dispensed into the foam. Now we're back to ink blending. I'm going in very light-handed with Orchid because I was still a little hesitant, not sure how blush and Orchid were going to play together, but I think this is my favorite panel. I had some really fun ideas pop in after viewing it when it was completely dry. And I foresee it being in a card video, not the next one, but maybe some card videos in the future. Another tip to seamless ink blending is to ensure that you have well-inked pads. So that's why I left that in. I could tell Orchid and Iris were looking a little light. They had a spot on them that I could tell needed some more ink. And I could just tell that Orchid was not going to give me the results I wanted. But another little side tip in addition to that is to ensure that if you've re-inked them and they're nice and juicy, that you are tapping off or not going straight to paper unless you want that saturation, because a juicy ink pad is definitely going to give you a ton of ink on your brushes. But now that we've added that iris, I love this panel. It's a beautiful dusky kind of sunset. I could see beach. I could see flowers on the front, silhouettes. This would be a great silhouette stamped image with black ink, flowers. The options are endless. So we're going to go ahead and get cleaned up, and now we're going to do one that's a little bit out there. We're going to do Pucker, Citrine, and Lucky. These are analogous colors, so they sit next to each other on the color wheel, so they are going to pair perfectly, but they sure are going to pack that punch of color compared to the other ones that we've done so far. Lucky is probably the brightest green so far in the Pawsitively saturated ink line. Pucker is definitely one of the brightest colors, and Citrine is the darkest in the original yellow trio. There's a new trio that was just recently released that's more of that royal deep kind of yellow. So these are definitely some of the brightest colors in the line. And we're going to see that in the color panel. It is poppin'. This color could be a really great masculine birthday card. Add some white die cut candles on it. Simon Says Stamp has 2 of them that are coming to mind. That would look really great. Maybe do some glitter paste, kind of just like here and there all over the panel to help kind of elevate the already poppin' color. Just doing little swatches of it, or cover the whole panel. That would be really, really fun in some glitter paste or Brutus Monroe's glitter glaze. So this is Pucker, Citrine, and Lucky. Just a totally out of left field color combo compared to the other ones I felt like we did. So we're going to do a quick clean, and I'm going to dry these off camera. And then just so that you know, all of the products are listed below in the description. So be sure to expand it to see all of the products I used today. This is Cheeky, Blush, and Pucker, the original. Look at how this dried back. This is Cheeky, Cadette, and Taffy. This one is Blush, Orchid, and Iris. This one also dried back very beautifully. And then we're rounding it out with Pucker, Citrine, and Lucky. Be sure to let me know in the comments below which panel was your favorite, and I thank you for joining me today. Take care.